I went to the police immediately when I found out my parents took out debt in my name. So this happened when I was 19 and just started my second year of college. I was living in this tiny dorm room with my roommate Jake, and I was trying to apply for a student credit card because literally everyone told me I needed to start building credit. You know how it is. Adults always saying you gotta establish your credit score early or whatever. I went online to one of those credit monitoring sites just to see where I stood before applying. I figured since I'd never had any credit cards or loans, it would just show like no credit history or something basic like that. But when the report loaded up, my jaw literally dropped to the floor. There were 3 different credit cards maxed out to like $8,000 each, plus some kind of personal loan for $15,000. All of it was in my name, with my social security number, but I had never seen any of these accounts before in my life. The addresses on file were my parents' house where I grew up. At first, I thought it had to be some kind of mistake or identity theft, like maybe someone stole my info when I was younger and my parents just never told me about it. So I called my mom right away, thinking she'd be just as shocked as I was. But when I told her what I found, there was this really long pause on the phone. Then she just goes, "Oh, honey, we can explain that. Not what, or that's impossible. Just, we can explain that." And right then, I knew they did it. Turns out my dad had lost his job when I was 16, and they were struggling to pay bills. Instead of telling me or figuring something else out, they just started opening credit accounts using my social security number. They figured since I was still in high school and living at home, I wouldn't find out for years. And by then, they'd have everything paid off and I'd never know. Except my dad never got another good job. And instead of paying anything back, they just kept using the cards. For groceries, car repairs, even some vacation they took to Florida last summer while I was working 2 part-time jobs to save money for college. The worst part was how my mom tried to justify it. She's like, "We raised you and fed you for 18 years, so really this is just paying us back for that." As if having a kid means you get to steal their identity later. I was so mad I couldn't even speak. I hung up on her and just sat there staring at my laptop screen showing all this debt I never knew existed. Jake walked in and found me just sitting there looking like someone died. When I told him what happened, he was like, "Dude, you gotta call the cops right now. That's straight up fraud." So I did. I walked to the campus police station that same day and filed a report. The officer I talked to said this happens more than people think. Parents using their kids' social security numbers. He said the only way to get it off my credit report was to press charges and prove I didn't authorize any of it. My parents freaked out when they got contacted by the police. My dad called me screaming about how I was destroying the family and how they could go to jail. My mom kept crying and saying I was being ungrateful and that they only did it because they love me. But here's the thing. I wasn't about to start my adult life with $39,000 in debt that I didn't even spend. I couldn't get approved for anything, couldn't rent an apartment after college, couldn't get a car loan. My credit score was like 480 or something horrible. The case took about 8 months to work through the courts. My parents had to plead guilty to identity theft and fraud. They got 3 years probation and had to pay restitution, which basically meant they had to figure out how to pay back all the money they stole from me. The judge was actually pretty cool about it. He told my parents that using your child's identity is still identity theft, no matter what your relationship is. He said parents don't own their kids' social security numbers just because they gave birth to them. Getting everything removed from my credit report took another 6 months after that, but eventually it all got wiped clean. I was able to get that student credit card I originally wanted, and my credit score started from 0 like it should have.